I'm Katie Pratt with Shush.com, and today I'm here with award-winning erotic film director Erica Lust.
Hello.
Hi, Erica.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks. So I guess my first question would be, what was your first experience watching porn?
My first experience watching porn, well, I guess I was a teenager. Around, I would say 13, 14 something, and a friend of mine, a girlfriend, called me one afternoon and she said that she had found this videotape in her father's drawer.
Dirty film.
A dirty film. And she called all our little group of girls. So we were, I think, 7 or 8 girls watching this exciting, strange tape of people having sex. And I guess we thought it was more like fun, strange.
Yeah. Was it awkward at all?
No, not really awkward, more like, what the hell are they doing?
Yeah.
You know? And then we were laughing a lot about it, no?
Of course.
And then I guess my second experience was the typical experience.
Mm-hmm.
The one with a boyfriend coming home with, I guess it was a DVD back then. And he said, let's watch this. And we did. And at that point, I guess I did get aroused by watching it.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I felt that something wasn't really clicking for me. Somehow I didn't like what I was looking at. It felt like it had little to do with me, little to do with my experience of sex.
You couldn't relate to it?
No, not really. Not really.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you went on to go to Lund. Am I saying that right?
Yes,
Lund University.
Lund University in Sweden.
And you studied political science and
Political
feminism.
science, yes.
So then you moved to Barcelona. So how did a political sciences graduate come to Barcelona and get into adult film?
Well, she came down to Barcelona to study Spanish, not to work with film at all, actually. She started to learn Spanish, and then she realized that she wanted to stay here. And I guess I started to work with cinema, in the audiovisual industry. I was working, as a freelancer for a lot of different companies, doing basically advertising,
Mm-hmm.
but also some television and some mainstream films. And I kind of learned how to make movies.
Yeah.
How to shoot, and I realized that was a great interest of mine since I was a little girl. I always loved the cinemas, going to the cinema. I loved film, and I started to think about it and to understand that I wanted to do my own film, kind of.
The new passion.
Yeah, a great passion.
Yeah.
So I started taking some night courses about film directing, about more the technical details
Mm-hmm.
of filmmaking, and then at one point, where in the year 2004 more or less, I had this opportunity to make a short film. And actually that was when all kind of started, because I sat down and I thought, what am I gonna do now when I have this great opportunity? And still I don't really know how, but some of those crazy nights I kind of reconnected to some of the ideas that I had years earlier at Lund University, speaking about feminism, about sex, and about why couldn't pornography be different?
Right. Different from those first experiences you had.
Exactly. Different from what I had seen when I watched normal porn.
Do you think working in the big production houses also affected that? Seeing how commercialized films could be?
Well, I guess what it did, it really affected my vision of filmmaking, because I realized that you could do something a lot, it's, like aesthetically more beautiful than what I had seen when I had watched pornography. Pornography always seemed kind of, I mean, script-wise, completely silly and stupid.
Yeah.
Typical
Ridiculous.
Situations, ridiculous, that had absolutely nothing to do with me or with my own life. And then aesthetically really ugly many times, without good cinematography, without
Just those
good
bright
cutting
lights.
and
Yeah.
exactly, and bad locations and bad makeup, and all of it was kind of ugly. So there was one of the things I really wanted to change. I wanted to make something erotically beautiful. I wanted to make beautiful films. That was one of my goals.
And that's sort of one of the trademarks of your film now, is that it's sex and cinematography, right?
That's the idea of it. The
Yeah.
idea is, I guess the basic points when I'm trying to explain to people why my films are really different. I always speak about 3 different things. I speak about the female pleasure. That is one of the main differences, because I do concentrate on the female characters. I always make sure that my women in my films are having pleasure, that you can actually see their pleasure, that they like the action and the situations they are in, that they enjoy themselves, and I think that is very, very important for women when we watch films, about sex, even if it's erotic or porn or even mainstream, but we want to see the women having a good time.
Yeah, well, and that's absent in all other kind of porn. I mean, it's like you said, when you're watching it when you're young, it's just not there. Nothing going on the screen has anything to do with you, with your pleasure. So would you say that women are your primary audience then?
Yeah, they're definitely my primary audience. But then again, of course, I don't exclude men. I mean,
Right,
they are
of
more than
course.
welcome to watch my movies. And they do. A lot of men actually do watch my movies.
Yeah.
Because they write to me quite a lot.
Well, and couples too, right?
Couples too. Yes, I can definitely see also in for example, in my online store, I can see that a lot of couples buy together, that a lot of men even buy for their girlfriends or wives.
Wow.
Sending the DVDs to their addresses.
Talk about different. It goes from like a solo habit to suddenly you're able to share this with your partner.
Yes, I think that's one of the things that couples really are looking for. They're looking for getting some kind of inspiration together. And that really helps when you can enjoy the movie and you don't kind of feel like I did the first time I was watching this movie with my boyfriend, and I just felt like, oh, I wanted to die.
Yeah, this is so hot.
Exactly. No, and then again, back to the differences. So first point would be the female pleasure, definitely. The second one, I would definitely speak about the aesthetics, because I do think that they are very, very, very important. I feel that pornography many times it's almost even anti-erotic somehow.
Yes.
Yes. You feel like, it to me it does the opposite effect than it should.
It's just the act itself.
My body reacts negatively. I want to vomit. I think it's all horrible.
I've been there.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I'm trying to do. I'm trying to, with my filmmaking, telling stories that I feel are erotic and showing it in a beautiful way. And then the third thing that I think is very, very different, then I would like to speak about the production values, because I think that as a director and as a producer, you really have to take responsibility when you are making adult movies. You have to make sure that the people who are in these movies really want to be in the movies,
Yes.
that they are paid correctly, that they have their health tests,
Yeah.
that everything, you know, that everything around is correct and is working properly.
Those are major stereotypes in the industry, aren't they?
Yes,
You know, hiring
definitely.
people who don't want to be there, doing things for money that they can't make any other way.
Well, these are stories, of course, that we heard quite many
Yeah.
times from the past. And I do feel that it changed, and that today people are more careful,
Responsible.
more
Yeah.
responsible about the production process. However, I feel that you know, women in particular, we want to, if we buy a movie, we want to really feel that we believe in these people behind the movie. And sometimes all these porn studs, you kind of feel that you are not quite sure
Yeah.
if they are doing the right thing.
Yeah. So, do you think that there is actually a difference between the porn for women versus all other porn, which I guess would be marketed to men? Or do you think it's really just a marketing ploy? Because all of these things that you're listing,
No,
they do seem like they would be very important to most women because they've been so marginalized as consumers.
I think there's a huge difference.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a marketing thing at all. I think that you can really see that the last 15 maybe even 20 years, we have women getting into adult industry and starting changing the rules. And lately, the last 10 or even the last 5 years, the amount of women getting involved in the adult industry is a lot bigger than before. And the movies they are producing and directing, they are dramatically different.
And you feature a lot of women directors on Lust Cinema,
Yes.
which is your streaming site, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite directors, or?
I have a lot of favorite
course.
directors. I think all of the films actually that are on Last Cinema are films that I really like, and that I think are very different from the mainstream, traditionally just kind of normal porn that's
Right.
out there. All for different reasons, because also what I have to say, and that I think it's kind of amazing, is that we are seeing a lot of different angles from female filmmakers here.
Interesting.
There are those working more storylines and really more interested in maybe developing, you know, characters and really telling stories. And then also we have another kind of more real sex perspective,
Yeah.
where I think they're concentrating most on, you know, the chemistry between the actors, and that the sex really feels authentic and passionate and real.
That's great.
Yeah.
And there are vintage films on there too now, right?
There's what?
Vintage films.
Vintage films, yes. Sorry, didn't get that.
I saw that in the catalog, and
Yeah.
that's so exciting
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
people forget where.
Yeah, because I think that when we go back to the 60s and the 70s and look to the films they were making at that point, what you can really see is that they were more of, the directors were more of filmmakers
Yes.
back then. They had something they wanted to really, you know, to communicate through their films.
Oh, and they were even shown in theaters and things like that too. It
Yes.
became like a pop culture hit too.
Definitely, and those films kind of made I mean, they were part of a sexual liberation movement where they actually were a kind of statement to a very conservative culture.
Yeah.
So there, I guess those movies are interesting to revise and to go back to, and to try to understand how they really, you know, helped us to get more liberated sexually somehow.
So going back to women and porn, what would you say to women who think that, oh, porn is just a guy thing, you know, I wouldn't have any interest in it? What would you have to say to them?
I think that porn really can I mean, we all kind of use it as education, even if we normally don't want to speak about it too much, because it seems something very, you know, very strange to say that porn is education.
But it's true.
It is.
How else?
It is true, and
you don't see people having sex very often in real life.
Exactly, exactly. And I think that is also where we have to kind of understand that porn isn't just porn. It's not something that only a few men watch sometimes to get off. No, it has another impact. It has an impact on society. It is a discourse about sexuality. It speaks about our roles, our sexual roles as men and women, about, you know, masculinity and femininity. And if we don't, the way I see it, if women, if we don't participate in this discourse, then it's like we have nothing to say at all. And I mean, then it would be only like 50% of the population, the men, who are portraying sexuality through this medium that actually porn is. So for me, it's very, very important there that women really participate. And then it's important that we realize that especially young people, they do watch porn to learn about sex. We all did it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
And if the porn they are watching is very negative, very sex negative and very negative, especially for us as women, showing a female sexuality that almost always is some kind of object for the men to enjoy, or that we are some kind of you know, item to help the men having their pleasure, but it's not really about our pleasure. That's what we're gonna learn from pornography, and that is what we're gonna reproduce later in our own sexual life. And I think that's a huge mistake, because as women, what we need is we need to learn how to enjoy sex with our own bodies and as ourselves, and we need to be able to explore and to find out what we want to do. And there, I think that pornography really can have an important role in helping us, you know, watching other people doing it, watching how are they getting their pleasure, what methods are they using. Inspiration.
Yeah.
It can really help us to even to make our, you know, our imagination going. That is something that women especially like to do. I think that men uses pornography sometimes more direct. They use it to get off, and that's it.
Yeah.
Whereas I see women, many times they use it for inspiration. They watch it, they feel aroused, but then they use those images over and over again.
Yeah.
You know, it's not
The
only like
showreel.
down there, it's also
Yeah.
up here. We get that.
It stays with you. It's not
It stays with
limited
you.
to the sex.
It provokes you, and then it helps you canalize it when you kind of need it or want it.
So then, say a woman like myself is now interested in exploring porn and seeing maybe what path that'll take her down. What would you recommend? What would you say to her?
There, I would say first of all, because I think it's a lot about daring, because we are brought up as a general, women, we are brought up to be good girls. We are brought up to you know, to be pretty but not too pretty, to be smart but not too smart, to be happy but not too happy. It's a lot about containing our feelings.
Sexy but not sexual.
Exactly. I think for us, it's as a general, it's difficult because it's like you don't want to be a prude, but you don't want to be a slut.
Yes.
Okay? So then you have to play inside those limits. Whereas men, they are allowed to do all of the roles, kind of. And I think that we have to dare ourselves so I don't know. The first thing you asked, what should we do, or how should we start watching films, and then I guess the answer is, you know, daring ourselves and being critical at the same time. You know, if you watch something that you don't like, shut it off. You don't have to like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it, and that's it. But there's a lot of different subgenres actually in pornography and in female pornography, or you know, feminist pornography, or porn by women, or whatever, how we want to call it. So I guess you have to find your own path. That's really what matters. Try to find what you like. And sometimes you get surprised because you realize that maybe you like something that you didn't expect yourself to like. And that's also kind of amazing that in pornography sometimes you have that opportunity to live sides of your own sexuality that maybe you don't even want to do in real life.
The fantasy.
But watching it, watching your fantasies can be very rewarding.
Well, I think we inspired quite a few people today. Thank you very much, Erika.
You're welcome. Thank you.
This has been Katie with Erika Lust, erotic film director with Shush.com.
Bye. Okay, bye from Barcelona.